while watching it, I felt disgusted. Disgusted at Jake Paul for putting this together, knowing that Tyson was 58 years old. See,
listen, it was an anticlimax. It didn't live up to the expectations of what it was built up to be. I mean, it was crap, wasn't it? Let's be honest. The fight itself was awful.
Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson is over, a fight that shocked the world in all the wrong ways. Jake Paul mentioned that Mike Tyson's punches did not hurt him during the fight. He acknowledged a moment in a previous fight with Tommy Fury where he was slightly buzzed, and another with Tyron Woodley where he was hit off balance while throwing a missed check hook, but neither caused significant pain.
Did you feel Mike's power at all?
No.
He hit you with one, and you gave him the tongue.
I only because the crowd got turned up, but it didn't actually hurt. But I mean, no one's punches have really hurt. I got buzzed a little bit against Tommy Fury, but that's about it. It didn't hurt. No, I was just off balance when Woodley hit me, but because I was throwing a check hook and I missed, and then my chin was open, and then he hit me and I went boom. But it didn't hurt.
Jake Paul admitted to carrying Mike Tyson during the later rounds out of respect. He observed that Tyson wasn't engaging as much and that his age was showing. Jake's decision not to aggressively pursue a knockout was influenced by his admiration for Tyson and the respect he had for the legendary boxer.
There was a point where, I was just like, okay, he's not really engaging back. And so I don't know if he's tired or whatever, and I could just tell, his age was showing a little bit, and I just have so much respect for him. And that violence war thing between us, after he slapped me, I wanted to, be aggressive and take him down and knock him out and all that stuff, but that kind of went away as the rounds went on.
Jake Paul reflected on his journey from being a YouTuber to becoming a professional boxer. He emphasized how hard work and dedication allowed him to rise to the top in just 4.5 years, inspiring others to believe that evolution and growth are achievable in any field.
Yeah, I 22 days ago, I completely sprained my ankle, completely tore the ligament, the anterior ligament, and contusion, snapped the other side of my foot. Was on crutches for 4 or 5 days, and it just hindered the end of my training camp. I don't know how it didn't get leaked or anything like that, but it just made everything mentally more difficult to go into the ring with a sprained ankle, having to tape it up. And I missed about.
Saturday, Tyson shared his thoughts on X, embracing the outcome of the fight. This is one of those situations where you lose but still win. I'm grateful for last night. No regrets about stepping into the ring one last time. The fight itself was a significant milestone for Tyson, who had faced a near-death experience just months earlier due to severe health complications. In June, the boxing icon endured a medical scare that resulted in 8 blood transfusions, a loss of half his blood, and a dramatic weight loss of 25 pounds. These issues led to the postponement of the fight, initially scheduled for July. Tyson revealed that his health crisis began during a flight from Miami to Los Angeles, where he had a terrifying episode of vomiting blood. I almost died in June. It was a victory just to step into the ring again, to have my children watch me go 8 rounds with a talented fighter half my age, in front of a packed Dallas Cowboys stadium. That's an experience no man has the right to ask for. Eddie Hearn commends Jake Paul and his team's promotional efforts, acknowledging the event's success in terms of ticket sales, audience attention, and overall scale. However, he admits that while it was a huge event, the style of promotion and entertainment-driven approach isn't to his personal taste. He respects that others prioritize views and content differently, emphasizing that there's no right or wrong approach in boxing, as it is both a sport and a business.
It's not. I've said my piece. Do you know what I mean?
But it's over and done with now. Come on, give us the real Eddie Hearn opinion on this.
Look, it was a great event. I knew I didn't like what I saw, and I knew I wouldn't like what I saw. But it's not. It doesn't have to be for me. Look at how many people tuned in. Look how many people bought tickets. So I can't argue what they did. I just didn't want to watch it, and what I did watch, I didn't like seeing. But it was a huge event, and everyone's different. Some people are boxing people. Some people are about views and content, and there's no right or wrong. Do you know what I mean? They don't have to respect the sport on the same level that other people respect the sport. It's a business.
Tyron Woodley reflects on Mike Tyson's former dominance, emphasizing his signature peekaboo style and ability to cut distance and overwhelm opponents up close. He contrasts this with Jake Paul's cautious approach, where Jake kept his distance out of respect for Mike's potential power. This highlighted a shift in dynamics, with Mike no longer displaying the relentless aggression of his prime.
I mean, I didn't want to see Mike like that, man. I didn't want to see it. I didn't want to see him like that because if he had it in him, he would have did it. He didn't have it in him, and I feel like his peekaboo style and him cutting the distance off, back in the day, he was up on you. He was in your face. You couldn't stop him. You couldn't get to him. And Jake's like, shit, I don't want to go too close because if I get in there, he might hit me with it, right? So it's kind of like him using jabs, one to fire off. But you gotta respect Mike no matter what.
Adam Smith highlighted that Jake Paul adopted a cautious strategy, reminiscent of fighters who defeated Mike Tyson in his prime, such as Buster Douglas and Evander Holyfield. According to Smith, these fighters succeeded by refusing to be intimidated and creating space to neutralize Tyson's aggression. Despite Tyson's advanced age, Smith emphasized that his power remained a potential threat, making Jake's decision to avoid direct confrontation in the early rounds both prudent and necessary.
And I think Jake, quite rightly, sort of got on the back foot and tried to keep the space as you would against Mike Tyson. Yeah, the people that beat Mike Tyson back in the day, Buster Douglas, who had to get off the floor, remember he was pretty much laid out in the second round, but he got off the floor and he just stood up to the bully, really. You know, Mike used to intimidate fighters before the opening bell. I remember Alex Stewart, who he fought and knocked out in a round, telling me once it was like he was almost like an animal that he saw in front of him. And he was scared. And for a fighter to admit that, that really means something. So that intimidation and ferocity thing, Mike used to win fights before, and then he used to deliver stunning knockouts. But the Holyfields, the Lewises, the guys that stood up to him, who refused to be bullied, were the guys that had the best success against him.
Smith speculated on whether Jake Paul intentionally avoided knocking out Mike Tyson to preserve the boxing legend's legacy. He suggested the possibility of a prearranged understanding between the two fighters to ensure the bout remained respectful. However, Smith doubted this, citing Tyson's unpredictable nature, which made it unlikely for him to follow a scripted plan during the fight.
I think Jake rightly went on the sort of outside for the first couple of rounds, and then I guess his idea was probably to land a few shots and maybe stop him, maybe not stop him, but he probably realised in there that Mike was 2 or 3 steps behind him in terms of physicality, and he probably didn't want to knock out the hero. I don't know, maybe it was preordained, maybe they'd had a conversation beforehand. I don't know, I'd hope they wouldn't, and I don't think Mike's unpredictable. I mean, they're saying when he was biting his glove, he used to do that all the time. So that wasn't, a conversation with Jake in the middle of the ring. It was set up that let's see how it goes and plays out. But I think Tyson's unpredictable.
Conor Walker reflects on Jake Paul's boxing journey, acknowledging the significant progress Paul has made over 6 years of training. He attributes this growth to Paul's access to top-tier trainers, management, and conditioning resources. Walker appreciates Paul's dedication to the sport, noting that his efforts have drawn more attention and audiences to boxing, which benefits the community overall.
But you've got to on Mike Tyson, man, and I got up and it was just, it's an old man and his legs wasn't there, he wasn't the same man. Jake Paul, I think what people forget is that Jake Paul, when I was watching all the documentary stuff about it, he's had his first fight 2018. That makes him boxing for 6 years now. In 6 years, you can come a long way, and I do believe he has come a long way with the best trainers, the best management, the best strength conditioning. He's got it all, got the world at his feet. I've got nothing against.
Walker critiques the decision to match Jake Paul against older fighters like Mike Tyson, describing it as uncomfortable to watch and unnecessary. He suggests that Paul should challenge himself by facing younger, up-and-coming fighters, which would better test his skills and credibility in the sport.
But we're all just in it to make a few quid. We're all in it for the same thing, you know what I mean? Whether it be YouTube or professional boxing. If you're still working hard and you're putting the hours in, and look, he's putting bums on seats. People are enjoying it, so carry on, man. You know what I mean? Obviously, leave the old boys out of it next time, though, because it wasn't a nice watching Mike Tyson look unsteady on his feet, look shattered. You know, it's not nice to watch that. So leave the old boys now and go and, you know, test yourself with some of the up and comers.
Oscar De La Hoya shares his thoughts on the Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul fight. He admits feeling disgusted with Jake Paul for organizing the bout, given Tyson's age, 58, and legendary status. Oscar reflects on his own challenges of attempting a boxing comeback at 48, highlighting the physical toll on an older fighter. While expressing pride in Tyson's efforts, he criticizes the age disparity and calls Jake Paul out for exploiting the situation.
I felt, while watching it, I felt disgusted at Jake Paul for putting this together, knowing that Tyson was 58 years old. See, I'm a fighter myself, and I once tried coming back at 48 years old, and my body just shut down. So when you're gonna fight a 28-year-old like Jake Paul against Tyson, who is a legend, he's a national treasure, a world treasure, I felt a little disgusted. Not on Mike Tyson. I feel bad for Tyson, but you know what? I'm proud of Tyson. But Jake Paul, hey, if you want to fight Zurdo right now, let's do it, and he will knock you out.
Dave Coldwell observed, Mike Tyson displayed brief glimpses of energy and potential during the first 30 seconds to a minute. However, it quickly became evident that he couldn't maintain that momentum. By the second round, any signs of effectiveness had completely faded, leaving Tyson visibly struggling. Coldwell described the fight as a physically taxing and one-sided contest, emphasizing the significant challenges Tyson faced due to his age and physical condition.
Your legs can't get into range against somebody that's moving around. And then your legs aren't strong enough to really be able to get any purchase on your punches, then, you know, it was always going to be a very, very difficult night for Mike Tyson. And after the first 30 seconds, minute, you saw that it just got gradually, you know, well, not gradually, rapidly after the second round. You know, you can see that the little bright sparks.
Coldwell highlighted Jake Paul's cautious and strategic approach during the fight, noting that Paul avoided unnecessary risks and maintained control throughout. In contrast, Mike Tyson was largely stationary, struggling to match Paul's mobility and pace. Coldwell remarked that Tyson's inability to move effectively or compete physically made the fight increasingly challenging and one-sided as it progressed.
You know, it just looked like it was hard work for him for the course of the fight, and you know, Jake Paul did what he had to do. He was smart. He was you know, not taking too many chances, and it just looked like, for the majority of the fight, from my point of view and what I've seen, is that Tyson was just stood centre of the ring and really couldn't really move. It was sad. It was so sad to see, which is, you know, it's expected, but you know, I don't. Anybody that was expecting anything else, really, I know we was all hoping that Tyson would land out on Hail Mary. Yeah. We were all hoping.
Ariel Helwani discusses the dynamics of the fight, noting that Mike Tyson appeared to win the first 2 rounds, but Jake Paul took control in the later rounds. He emphasizes the polarizing nature of the event, pointing out that no matter the outcome, whether Jake Paul knocked Tyson out or the fight went the distance, it was bound to attract criticism. Helwani reflects on the impossibility of pleasing everyone.
And so it was surreal to see him walk out there with the all black and all that stuff. Looked solid in the first. You can make a case for first and second round goes to Mike Tyson. The rest was obviously all Jake Paul. And I guess my assessment of it all was same thing I've said from the get-go. Polarizing fight, didn't know what to make of it, didn't know how to truly feel, didn't know what to expect. Every criticism, every take was very valid.
Given the fight's controversial setup and the expectations surrounding it, Helwani suggests that Jake Paul intentionally held back in the later rounds, possibly to avoid criticism for knocking out a 58-year-old Mike Tyson. While it's unclear whether Paul could have finished Tyson, Helwani believes Jake deliberately took his foot off the gas, especially in the final rounds, to manage the optics of the fight.
Mike Tyson knockout of Jake Paul. I think that's the only one that would have sufficed, and that wasn't happening. That really, there was never really any doubt. He landed a couple punches early on, but there was never really a question as to whether or not that would happen. I think Jake carried him. I think Jake didn't want to knock him out. I'm not sure if he could have, but he definitely took his foot off the gas last couple rounds for sure. And ultimately, I'm okay with that. I predicted a Jake Paul decision. I thought it would be a little bit more competitive to get to the decision, but ultimately I'm okay with that.
Luke Thomas critiques the idea that Jake Paul's restraint during the fight should be seen as a show of class. He argues that framing a promotional tactic as sportsmanship is absurd, especially since the fight was engineered to be one-sided from the start. While viewers were relieved Mike Tyson wasn't seriously hurt, Luke emphasizes that this outcome shouldn't be praised as an act of nobility by Jake, but rather criticized for its lack of authenticity and competitive integrity.
I also think, not that he was exactly afraid of Mike, but I do think he was afraid of looking bad against Mike if he got some punches coming back his way and maybe got knocked down or just even off balance because he was trying to really put it on him. So again, I think it's a combination of factors, but the response afterwards to the comments that Jake made about carrying Mike are blowing my mind, and I really don't get it. I have seen people say, hey, Jake showed class in not stopping Mike Tyson. And I'm like, are you out of your mind? You're going to sane wash and in a ridiculous promoter trick as a show of class?
Thomas criticizes Jake Paul's pattern of selecting opponents who are either too old, inexperienced, or far past their prime, making the fights heavily one-sided. He acknowledges that while previous opponents like Nate Diaz or Mike Perry added some competitive edge, the fight against Mike Tyson failed to deliver meaningful entertainment. Luke argues that if Jake insists on stacking the odds in his favor, he has an obligation to make the bouts engaging, which this fight did not achieve.
The entire system that he has set up for himself is that he is going to sandbag. He's going to take on guys who are either way too old, who never boxed and are also far outside of their athletic prime, or some kind of way to hedge where they have a celebrity factor to their name, but no real competitive ability, or at least no real competitive ability to test him.
Michael Buffer comments on the Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul event, expressing relief that no one was injured, emphasizing the importance of fighter safety. He reflects on his 40-year friendship with Tyson and expresses hope that the event did not detract from the integrity of boxing. Buffer praises the main card of the evening for its high-quality fights. Regarding the Tyson-Paul fight, he admits he watched a replay, found the rounds repetitive, and suggests it lacked excitement.
Just one more question, Michael. What did you make of what happened last night with Mike Tyson and Jake Paul?
I'm glad nobody got hurt, and I'm always glad in any fight when nobody gets hurt, but especially Mike. Mike's my, we've known each other for 40 years, and, I love the guy, so I just hope it didn't take away from the sport of boxing and the type of show we had here tonight with like 4 great fights out of the whole card, and we want fight fans to enjoy the fights, not just exhibitions.
Was it difficult for you to watch that?
Yeah, well, I watched it on a replay and kind of zipped through it because it was the same thing in every round.
Carl Froch critiques Mike Tyson's performance, emphasizing how the 58-year-old legend showed clear signs of aging, moving slowly and lacking the explosiveness that once defined him.
The legend, the iconic man, Mike Tyson, the baddest man on the planet once upon a time, stepped in the ring with Jake the Fake Paul. Listen, I'm going to give Jake some credit in a bit because maybe he laid off the gas with Mike Tyson, but I want to go straight into the main event and talk about how this fight went. Listen, it was an anticlimax. It didn't live up to the expectations of what it was built up to be. I mean, it was crap, wasn't it? Let's be honest. The fight itself was awful. Did Jake Paul take his time? I don't know.
Froch discusses Jake Paul's performance, describing it as hesitant and uninspiring. Paul relied heavily on his jab and avoided engaging Tyson in close range, seemingly scared of potential retaliation. Froch questions Paul's post-fight claim that he held back to avoid hurting Tyson, suggesting instead that Paul lacks the skill to dominate even an aging Tyson. The fight is criticized for its lack of intensity and meaningful exchanges, with Froch dismissing it as uncompetitive and poorly executed.
Really try. Did he get in there and follow a script? Well, don't actually hit Jake Paul on the chin with a big shot, because you might just knock him out and ruin the whole fucking script and ruin the whole Jake Paul story, the big con that is Jake Paul. So maybe that happened, maybe it didn't, but Jake Paul didn't really get anything going. He was almost fighting scared. He came into the ring walk into that big stadium, and what was it, a Chevrolet or a Cadillac? It was a big gas-guzzling American car. It looked good, he looked cool, he looked a bit nervous, but he looked cool in his car. His brother was there, Logan Paul, all the glitz and glam, the music, the pyrotechnics, the whole build-up to this show was fantastic. It was enjoyable. But unfortunately, when both guys, the reason I'm not talking about the fight, because there's nothing to really talk about. The fight was absolutely hopeless. It was terrible.
Jeremiah Milton expresses his disbelief and frustration over the Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson fight, questioning how it was allowed to happen given Tyson's age, 58. He criticizes both the audience and organizers for not recognizing the inherent risks of the match, dismissing claims that it was a charity event. Jeremiah argues that it lacked justification and highlights the dangers of promoting such fights for entertainment.
That was being super delusional, talking about it's Mike Tyson. It's Mike Tyson at 58 years old, dog. 58 is still 58. Motherfucker 60, okay? You know what I'm saying? Like, it don't work that way. You know what I'm saying? So guys want to live in the fucking glory days and act like there ain't shit going on. Like, wake up, bro. Everybody needs to wake the fuck up. What that Eddie Abu be saying, wake the fuck up. Like, this right here, you guys need to get on some red meat again. I don't know, but y'all fucking full of shit for that fight even happening. And I mean, like I say, so many old motherfuckers and stupid motherfuckers unaware, you know what I'm saying, of what the reality was gonna be. And I'm sitting here arguing with people. I'm like, bro, but the dude is 58, okay?
Thanks for tuning in, fight fans. If you enjoyed this breakdown of the Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson fight and Jeremiah Milton's insights, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more in-depth boxing analysis and exclusive interviews. Let us know in the comments what you thought about the fight. Was it a spectacle or a disappointment?